And this is the beginning of the breakdown for Ichinojo's 12 wins and his yusho. As soon as we find ourselves at the first match, Daieisho versus Tamawashi, that's a Sekiwake. He fights the other Sekiwake in the first match, Wakatakakage. Yeah, I've been doing IRL for a while now, especially now that I have the green screen. I really like that. And yeah, I am growing out my mustache a bit because Princess says she wants me to try out the facial hair, but that's not why we're here right now. We're here to do the breakdown of Ichinojo, his fantastic 12 wins, even though one of them was a Fusencho. He still has a fantastic 11 wins. And, well, to be honest, it was something that was a long time coming. And if you do want to take a quick look at Ichinojo's career, he had a very quick rise into the very top of the top division. It was in his... 1, 2, 3, 4. It was his 5th basho in his career. At Maegashita 10, he gets a Jun Yusho 13-2. And then after acquiring a bunch of Kinboshi, a few years later, March of 2019, 14-1 Jun Yusho from the position of Maegashita 4 after spending the better part of his career in that Makuchi Joy, making it all the way up to Sekiwake and you know, sticking up there for quite a while with some 8 and 7s. But now he's finally come into his own here, and he is, you know, finally gotten that yusho. And one could argue that it is because of a currently weak class right now, and, you know, you could use that as the excuse for pretty much anything that goes on in the top division nowadays. Oh, Terunofuji was 11-4. He's over. It's not, no, he's not. Everyone is just fine. You know, you could argue Ozekis are weak. They kind of are. This basho was very weird because of all the COVID, but that, like, all of these excuses would, like, don't do anything to take away from Ichinojo's fantastic performance. And even if we look at the people he fought against, you could argue that the lowest ranked person that he beat in Tobizaru, because I'm not counting the Nishikigi Fusencho, in Tobizaru was in the yusho race at the time. So even that wasn't a weak opponent. He beat everybody else except for Shodai, Kotonowaka, and then, of course, Maegashita 10 Meisei, and Meisei was at Sekiwake and Komusubi just recently anyway. So there is really no discounting his performance because he defeated a lot of very strong Rikishi at this tournament. And, you know, he did, you know, get one Fusencho, but he did dodge a lot of possible other Fusencho. And yes, he did defeat Hakuho 3 times in his career. You can't argue that he has had weak opponents in this tournament. He had a fantastic performance, and we are going to start with the very first match, Wakatakakage versus Ichinojo. You know, 2 storylines clashing right here. Wakatakakage wants to keep his Ozeki up there, or his Ozeki hopes up there, whereas Ichinojo, you know, he's just doing his own thing. So, like we usually do, we will watch it at full speed, and then break it down afterwards. So right away, we see Ichinojo immediately gets the outside left on the belt, inside right up underneath the armpit, does get wiggled around a bit, but he keeps his feet wide, he keeps that movement forward square, and that's what I talk about all the time in these, you know, sumo fights, is keeping your footing, keeping your center, keeping your hips and your shoulders square against your opponent. And that is really what lent him to get this victory. And we can even see, all right, for this video, I'll be using blue for Ichinojo, and I'll probably be using yellow for his opponents. But, like, right away, like I said, gets that left hand on the belt right over here. And from here, the entire time, he's going to be keeping his shoulders, his hips, and his feet all relatively pointing in the same direction. And that's the real consistency you need in order to, you know, succeed. Because when you are not being moved to the left and right and you're not being rocked back and forth, then you're not being moved and you are not going to lose. So, and we can see it very quickly right here in this match. Wakatakakage tries to wiggle away to the right here, and then even then As Ichinojo moves forward, again, you can see shoulders, hips, feet, all pointing in the same direction, all attacking in the same direction. And that gives overwhelming force and presence. So Wakatakakage tries to rock him to the side, and even when being rocked to the side this way, feet, hips, and shoulders are still square against Wakatakakage. So all of this weight is just being put into that left foot, and he does pull his hips back so he can re-stance up. That's just classic Yotsuzumō right there. He re-stances up, he finds his center again, he keeps that grip on that left outside, keeping full control over Wakatakakage, and then even when Wakataka tries to, shift his hips around, he tries to twist this way so he can get the leg up underneath Ichinojo and try to lift that up. Ichinojo is having none of that. He keeps his feet low to the ground, he keeps his hips square, his shoulders square, and they're all moving in the same way. He's just a big, giant wall of man flesh moving in the same direction. And there's nothing Wakatakakage can do about it. Easy win for Ichinojo here on day 1 of the Basho. And welcome Kui and Josh. You're just in time for the second match of Ichinojo's tournament, where he goes up against Push-a-Thrusta Daieisho. So let's see if we can't skip ahead straight to that match. That's Sekiwake Wakatakakage. He fights the other Sekiwake Daieisho, which is probably before this match. No, that was Ura and Abi. So let's get to it. Here we go. Ichinojo Daieisho. So Ichinojo, being the big man he is very difficult to move unless you are able to push him back and stun him, right? Similar to Terunofuji, because he's just that massive. Daieisho is probably going to want to try to do that. He's going to try to want to get up underneath the chin of Ichinojo, try to just lift him up by the face, push him up that way. Is there enough material to analyze? There certainly is. You definitely missed my spiel where I was saying that he had a fantastic tournament against a lot of very difficult opponents. But yes, there definitely is a lot to analyze for Ichinojo. So coming into this first match, Ichinojo gets a slap to the face against Daieisho and just charges right through him. Daieisho didn't stand a chance, and we'll be able to see once we we could watch his full speed a couple of times, actually. Goes for that slap up high, but actually misses it, which is quite unusual, kind of. He misses that slap up high, but I think that scares Daieisho off from trying to go high himself, and then Ichinojo just goes chest to chest and pushes Daieisho out. And like I said, usually Daieisho wants to use those arms to go up to the face, like this, whereas this time he kept his arms outside and didn't do that at all. So coming into this match again, watch it fast as you can. Ichinojo put that arm up and then just pushed on forward. So why didn't Daieisho get the offense he usually does get? And I think it's because that arm going high for Ichinojo put up a bit of a block that Daieisho, he put his arms down and in, but then Ichinojo swinging that forward kind of blocked those arms from going high. So we can see Daieisho has those arms down and in, but they're not going high, which is what he usually wants to do. And I think that's because Ichinojo, he went high and slapped them down is probably what happened here. And then after that, because Daieisho didn't get his usual push, Ichinojo just charges right through him. Let's try to look at that again. I know there's a button for moving forward frame by frame, but I forget what it is. And oops. I accidentally went back to the previous video. Yes, thank you, Molotov. There we go. So... oh wait, no, that's not working. I know that there was a button for it, but I forget what it is. Was it L? Nope. But yeah, you can see Ichinojo slapped that hand up high. We'll try to catch it again. It's pretty hard to get the freeze frame too. Yeah, see it right here. Ichinojo immediately snapped this arm from the ground up and down, and Daieisho tried to get the arm up, but it got blocked by it. E advances 1 frame. Thank you very much. Ah, so it does. I need to remember that for next time. So very quick move right there, and that's basically where Ichinojo won the match. It's a very small, very quick move, but it wins it right there, and we can actually watch it frame by frame here. See this left arm coming up. It's a bit of a blur because, you know, Abema doesn't give us that 144 FPS, but we do get to see that arm come up, and it actually meets Daieisho's hand right there. So Ichinojo got that hand up and blocked the attack from Daieisho. And even though we couldn't really see it at full speed, you could see it right here. Daieisho's hand blocked. Can't do anything. And because Daieisho can't go for the face like he usually does, that can't stop Ichinojo from just continuing this charge. Because you can see he has this right arm in. He's going for the boom right afterwards. And he's going to push forward straight into that chest. And he's going to get the easy win. And that's exactly how it went down. Just one quick hand motion from Ichinojo gets him the win right there. Fantastic. I forget who said it, but, you know, most of the victories happen in the Tachi-ai. See, this next match, he goes up against Komusubi Hoshoryu. Magic. Let's see, that's Maegashira 3 versus 5. Komusubi Hoshoryu. Ichinojo versus Hoshoryu. Oops. Ichinojo versus Hoshoryu. Actually, a head-to-head in favor of Hoshoryu. And both of them do really like to grapple, of course, but Hoshoryu has to be a bit trickier considering Ichinojo is just a larger opponent that could probably just outmuscle him. So now we kind of have to ask the question here, is this Ichinojo winning or is this Hoshoryu losing? Because there is a difference when it comes to like a matchup. And depending on what happens here, I'll explain it further. But let's see what happens in this match at full speed first. So Ichinojo goes up high again. Hoshoryu doesn't let him at the belt like he was able to grab on day one, but he is trying to muscle in that inside right to prop up Hoshoryu. Hoshoryu tried to go for a pull right there, but that does give Ichinojo more of an in around those arms. It's not a comfortable position for Hoshoryu. Finally does lock in the outside left, pushing forward, keeping those feet and hips square. And even when Hoshoryu tries to go for the throw at the end, it's the hand to the face that pushes him out. So this one, I would argue, is Ichinojo dominance. It is Ichinojo completely overwhelming Hoshoryu here. And we can watch it, you know, from the Tachi-ai again. He gets this left arm up to put Hoshoryu down, which I'm not exactly sure what the plan here is with this left arm, but we'll quickly see after this. Oops, sorry, a little bit of artifacting there. But his plan might have been to push Hoshoryu down so he could reach over the back and grab the belt. And Hoshoryu, I think he might be wise to that. Explain how the fuck Enho body slammed Aqua, because Aqua jumped and let it happen. We could also see right off the Tachi-ai, Ichinojo right hand is going down and trying to grab the belt here. Whereas Hoshoryu, his right arm is up high going into the chest of Ichinojo to try to keep this, you know, that left arm away from the belt, while his left arm is going for the belt. Unfortunately for him, it's left outside because Ichinojo knew to put this arm closer inside. And, you know, it is really awkward. You consider how Ichinojo is doing this. Has his arm down like this.
and his other arm up like this. This is a really weird stance. You've never seen, or I've never seen another sumo wrestler take this kind of a stance off the Tachi. But he's doing it because he doesn't want Hoshoryu to get his own left inside. And you can see that, if I draw it out right down here. But then this blue line, Ichinojo's right arm, blocks that from coming in. So he has the right arm kind of in an awkward spot so he can try to get that hand on the belt, and then he's trying to get the left hand over, but it gets stuck up on Hoshoryu's head. So right off this Tachi, this kind of tells us that he knew what was coming and he knew what he needed to do in order to counter Hoshoryu. And so as it continues, you can see him quickly, they're wrestling with these arms up high now. They move those arms, like you can see Ichinojo's right arm is no longer down here by the belt, but it's up here trying to fight. Probably something in like this. We can't really see what that right elbow is doing. But once we do get back to the reset, we can kind of see that it is indeed in and down. He is trying to fight for the belt underneath, and he does not want to give Hoshoryu that inside because he doesn't want Hoshoryu to have to double inside and be able to lift him up like this. So he's fighting for this inside. Hoshoryu, we can already see his shoulder out here is trying to fight to get in, but Ichinojo is just like, no, I'm not letting you. So now as the fight continues, you can see Hoshoryu is trying to wrench that arm away. Ichinojo's arm is this blue line right here. Hoshoryu has his wrapped around and he's trying to yank it out so he can get his arm inside. But Ichinojo, we can't see if he has a grip on the belt or if he's just holding it like a fist in on his stomach. But Ichinojo is not letting him wrench that arm away. And that's kind of what the rest of this fight is about, is trying to get, like, Hoshoryu trying to get the double inside so he can actually move Ichinojo, and Ichinojo not letting it happen. And you can see the entire time Ichinojo lowering his hips, trying, he has to get his shoulders in an awkward position so he can find the leverage and eventually pull Hoshoryu up, which we do see later. But at this moment, it is Ichinojo, here it comes. Ichinojo now trying to prop up Hoshoryu. You can see he's moving this right foot forward. And when he drives that, he's driving his entire right side of his body upwards and trying to pop up Hoshoryu. Because if he can stand up Hoshoryu, then Hoshoryu is losing pressure on that left outside. And he'll be able to grab the belt a little bit easier. You can see he still has the hand to the chest, and even if he doesn't have the hand on the belt, he still has the hand inside. It's up on the chest, getting up under the armpit, and that is what Hoshoryu is trying to fight off. You can still see he has the grip on the forearm, and this stance very defensive. He slides all the way back to the Tawada, and eventually he tries to go for a pull. And the way Ichinojo counters the pull is just watch his feet and watch the way his hips and shoulders are pointing. Try to watch that all at the same time. We can actually go frame by frame here because we have that technology. He hops forward and you can kind of see his center of gravity is a little bit behind him. And that's because, even though his feet are forward, his shoulders are here, his hips are all the way back here. And this big ass belly means his center of gravity is somewhere right here, so he should be falling. But because he's being pulled by Hoshoryu, Hoshoryu is actually pulling him back on balance. So he puts those feet in front of him because he knows he's getting pulled back up. And whoops. Getting turned around and regaining his footing. Locking in this left arm around the outside. We can't see what's happening with that right hand inside, but we can still assume that it's elbow in like this, hand up in the armpit, 200 IQ or instinct. At this point, it's instinct. At this point, it has to be. Because there's only so much training and thinking that you can do to be able to know what to do next, but you need to ingrain it into your body so you actually do what you know to do next. You know what I mean? Because, yeah, like, how many times has he been pulled and he hasn't put his feet far enough forward and then he gets pulled down onto his belly? So you do that so many times, he finally learns, okay, put my feet a little further forward. So catching himself right there, stands Hoshoryu back up. Hoshoryu still in that awkward spot. He doesn't have a grip on the belt. He's still trying to fight for that inside. We can't really see that fight on the inside right now, and that's kind of where the important thing is. But now Ichinojo snap move right onto the belt, and that's kind of an underrated thing that happens in sumo, are those very quick and snappy movements. Like that little just boom, grabbing the belt, that is too fast to react to. And it's very hard to react to a movement that fast. Whereas if he was trying to just like slowly Snorlax his way onto the belt, Hoshoryu would be able to, wiggle his hips away. And he'd be able to wiggle out of that grip. But because boop, right onto the belt, now he can't get away. Because Ichinojo gets the grip on the belt, it's easier for him to pull in Hoshoryu or exert some control over him, like just get some leverage. Like now that he has this, he can pull him up, he can pull him in, he can do whatever he wants to Hoshoryu, and Hoshoryu has to bend to that will. Hoshoryu getting pushed all the way to the edge, chest to chest at this point. We could still see the right hand is right under the armpit. Hoshoryu never able to break that inside right grip. And Ichinojo, again, look at his hips, look at his feet, look at his shoulders, just walking it all forward. And now he does put that right foot back to, get a little bit more stanced up. But for the most part, hips, shoulders, feet, mostly in the same direction. But it's here where he goes for the final push, and this is the most important thing. When Hoshoryu tries to get this knee up to get Ichinojo off balance and go for a throw like this, Ichinojo, let's see how he's keeping his body. Feet, hips, shoulders. Just completely even the whole time. And that is the most important thing when you're in that Yotsuzumo match, is keeping your shoulders, hips, and feet squared forward so you don't get pulled and rocked. Or so you don't get like pulled and rocked, you know what I mean? So just fantastic sumo from Ichinojo in just these 3 matches alone so far. We saw him, Wakatakakage and Hoshoryu, similar because they are similar body types. But then Daieisho just winning straight off the Tachi. So, we see the power that he can exert and the control over his own body to keep himself centered, to be able to keep up with himself. Because that was an issue that he had in the past, or that's an issue that even Aoyama has, where they charge forward, they charge too far forward and stumble and fall. They charge forward, they get pulled, they stumble and fall. But this time he charges forward, he puts his feet in front of him so he can continue moving forward with that momentum, and he doesn't stumble and fall forward, and he keeps going, and he gets the win. So fantastic sumo on day 3 as we move into day 4 against Takakeisho, the Ozeki. Let's see. Here we go. Takakeisho versus Ichinojo. Ichinojo 3-0 at this point. Takakeisho 2-1. And, well, we know what Takakeisho's game plan usually is. Just charge headlong into his opponent and try to completely overpower him with a very strong push. Ichinojo has got a lot of padding. He's got a lot of strength in those legs. Look at how, these thighs are as big as my torso. Look at that. You really think you're going to move this tree? You're going to headbutt this tree over and over again until it falls over? Fun fact, though, Takakeisho, again, has the winning record in this head-to-head matchup. It was 6-9, but after this, it is 7-9. How does Ichinojo deal with the battle hamster? And he immediately tries to grab the arms, doesn't work. Takakeisho slips and lets Ichinojo grab the belt. Now, I say lets Ichinojo grab the belt, but it was more like Ichinojo catches Takakeisho, doesn't let him go so he can grab the belt. And we'll watch it again here. Takakeisho actually got slapped in the side of the head there, which kind of threw him off balance a bit. All right, and that's when he grabbed his chonmage and like, hey, I got hair pulled, and people were pissed. Like, no, he didn't. The Tochinoshin fight. You're funny. Yeah, we can see right off the Tachi eye. You know, Takakeisho charges headlong, head first. We know that already. Ichinojo puts his entire chest up and blocks it with his forearm like this. So already he's in a very defensive stance. He is here to catch Takakeisho and either bounce him off or do what he does here. And we can't see what's happening on that right side, but we can see quickly he moves this left arm out and tries to grab Takakeisho by the elbow right here. And when he does, that means Takakeisho can't slip away and then recharge like he usually does. Because Takakeisho, he'll bounce off, charge in, bounce off, charge in, bounce off, charge in, bounce off, charge in, until you're either out of the ring or he gets grabbed. And that's kind of what happens here. Takakeisho tries to bounce off of Ichinojo, but Ichinojo catches this elbow and says, no, you will not be bouncing off of me. And we can see he does manage to slip away. He does get that arm out of Ichinojo's grasp, but he's already too close right now, and he can't get another good recharge at this distance. Like, he's not gonna get that 1-inch punch in. Ichinojo already has him right where he wants him at this moment. And then right there, big hand to the back of the head. And you can see it. Takakeisho, he's pulling back. Like, he thrust with that left arm and pulled it back so he can go for another thrust. And he's trying to do that with this right arm. But because he's exposing this part of himself, like, let me just erase this part. But because he's exposing, like, his shoulder and his head all right here, that allows him to get knocked off balance this way. So if Ichinojo lands a shot, it doesn't even have to be to the head. If Ichinojo lands a shot here on the shoulder, here on the head, Takakeisho is mid-swing, so he's going to keep going that way. And that's exactly what happens here. Ichinojo bats him down to the side perfectly, by the way. No hair pull. Takakeisho grabs him by the belt immediately. And that, again, that goes back to what I was saying about that snappy grab. It was so fast. Like, try to watch how fast he grabbed that belt right after the slap. And we can't go back frame by frame, which sucks, but just watch this again. Slap, snap. Like, there is no time between the slap to the head and that same hand going all the way back to grab the belt. It's insane. The swiftness with his own hands is incredible. And that's what wins him the match right here, because now Takakeisho can't do jack when he's grabbed. And then Ichinojo just plain and simple Yotsuzumo walks it forward, square hips, square feet, square shoulders. And that is the win for Ichinojo, despite Takakeisho's protests. So, fantastic sumo. And right now we're really learning how agile Ichinojo is. And it doesn't even have to be agility with his feet, but those hands are so fast. Oh no, it's okay, Nikiden. It is in the title after all. And welcome Rowan's language. But like I was saying, Ichinojo's hands are so fast, and it's kind of because they have to be. With all that weight, it's difficult for his feet to be able to keep up with the rest of his body, you know? Or even just the rest of his body to be fast in general. But because he does have those fast hands, that's a huge advantage that he has over, you know, a lot of other sumo wrestlers. And he can use those fast hands to grab the belt quickly like that. He can use those fast hands to, you know, give you a slap, grab the belt, give a slap, grab the belt. Exactly. So right here, one of the most exciting matches Ichinojo had, and was actually my number 2 in my top 15 matches video on YouTube. If you haven't seen it already, please go to my YouTube channel, twitch.tv, or rather youtube.com/C/Leo Dickinson Sumo. Or if you're watching this VOD on the Sumo channel, be sure to check out my top 15 matches of the Nagoya Basho if you haven't already. Anyway, getting into it, Ichinojo and Terunofuji, one of the most exciting matches in their rivalry, which, by the way, before this match, it was 13-2 in favor of Terunofuji in the head-to-head. So now Ichinojo, on fire versus Terunofuji, immediately grabs the belt, and again, you can see Ichinojo's shoulders, hips, feet, all square, and no matter what Terunofuji does to him, his stance is impeccable. Even when Terunofuji goes for that arm breaker hold, you can actually see Ichinojo twisted his arm so it doesn't actually hyperextend his elbow. He twisted his arm and then twisted it back so he can re-grab the belt immediately. And with that double inside and superior stance, Ichinojo gets the win. It was just impeccable sumo from Ichinojo. Going all the way back to the start of this, I feel like what really wins Ichinojo the match here is the fact that he gets the double inside so readily. And even though Terunofuji usually likes the Morozashi grip, the double arms around the two arms inside, that more or less works on Hoshoryu and Wakatakakage and Kiribayama. All these guys that are half the size of Ichinojo. So now Ichinojo gets the double inside, or rather he didn't even start with the double inside. Immediately chest to chest, he gets left hand outside. And it's actually Terunofuji who opts to pull this arm from inside. He pulls it back out and tries to go for the belt like that. And it's because Ichinojo is doing a very good job of turning Terunofuji to the side like this. So you can see this super strong grip right here. He's lifting Terunofuji up and getting him off balance. And again, just always focus shoulders, hips, feet, all pointing in one direction, all pointing to attack forward. So Ichinojo getting Terunofuji off balance, probably trying to turn him here. In order to try to regain the balance, Terunofuji has to wiggle his hips back and away so he can try to regain footing like he usually does. We can kind of see his feet are a little off, his hips and shoulders are a little square, but his shoulders are kind of like this, a little tilted to try to keep that right arm inside. But Ichinojo, I mean, this is an outside left, but it's in front of the thigh. Now, usually when you think of the outside left, it's more like back here on the belt, around the back, or back here on the side, but this is in front of the thigh. This is very uncomfortable for Terunofuji because now this inside right has to have elbow in. And having your elbow in, sure, you can lift up, but you can't really exert control like this. You have to at least have your elbows out so you can use your shoulders and use your entire body. Not a fan of Terunofuji? That's understandable. And welcome, Jom, to Sumo Saturdays. Here we can actually see Ichinojo gets the lift and makes Terunofuji lose the grip. And because Terunofuji loses the grip on the belt, now he's in panic mode. And even though he's all the way at the edge, he gets turned around and has to, this is panic mode from Terunofuji. And look at how amazing Ichinojo's stance is. He's leaning forward. He's pushing forward. Every single part of his body is facing forward and attacking forward. This is perfect sumo right now. Unfortunately, he didn't have the strong enough push, and now Terunofuji mounts a bit of a comeback here. In the middle of the ring, he gets the Morozashi grip. You like the view? Gets the Morozashi grip, slips his hips back, trying to make Ichinojo lose the grip on the belt. But from here, we can see, look at what's happening here with Terunofuji lifting up Ichinojo. He's getting up on tippy toes to try to get Ichinojo, to break the grip on the belt, and Ichinojo is not having it. And like I said, watch this left elbow here. This looks ghastly. This looks like Ichinojo's elbow is about to break. And I'm not even kidding. It looks like Ichinojo's elbow is about to break, but he's actually going to turn his forearm. He's going to release his grip on the belt, but he's going to keep that arm inside. He's not going to pull it out, and he's not going to panic. He is going to let Terunofuji lift up, and like, it just doesn't look good. But then, oh, he's turning his arm in. So now, instead of having his elbow be bent like that, he turned his arm in and it's being bent like this. So it's much more comfortable for Ichinojo. And then when when Terunofuji stops the attack, he just turns his arm back again and re-grabs the belt. And I hope my hand is on screen. Oh, you can't even see my hand, but you see what I'm doing here, right? He had his arm like this. Terunofuji bends it, he switches it. And then he bends it, that kind of thing. So Ichinojo, very, very wise against this attack. Very strong against this attack. And then when Terunofuji slips, like, look at that big slip. You can actually see it in the dirt, how far Terunofuji slipped back. Look at that slide. And giving all of that room back to Ichinojo, like I said, it gives him back the grip on the belt because he turns his hand back in. Very, very quick moves. Very clever from Ichinojo to be able to take advantage of that. And he's still sliding. You can see the path his foot has taken in the dirt. Like, that's a good 1.5 2 feet, maybe. Ichinojo, now it's his turn again to go for the push, but because Terunofuji still has that Morozashi, Ichinojo does it again. He doesn't really need this grip on the belt. He's chest to chest, and he has the grip around the back inside. So that Morozashi grip around his left arm is not going to be bending his arm badly because he's already around the back. So it's just kind of pushing it further in. Whereas this right arm, he does need to release the grip because it's like this. And, you know, you can't bend anymore like this, so he has to do this and let it bend. And then as soon as, again, Terunofuji lets up, you can go whop and grab the belt again. There it is. Now he's getting it around the back like I was saying. So now that Morozashi grip is already bent, can't really do much about it. And this is just all Ichinojo from here. Getting the better push, using those big thighs. And again, I said it at the beginning, in the middle, and now as we're nearing the end, Ichinojo completely straight, completely forward. Ichinojo not letting Terunofuji rock him off balance in any way, shape, or form, staying square the entire time. Just fantastic sumo from Ichinojo. It cannot be disputed. Ichinojo was on fire this tournament. Day 6, we are getting into Ichinojo versus Mitakeumi. Those thighs, yeah, right? Like, woo! So, Mitakeumi, 14-7 in the head-to-head against Ichinojo. And there is a huge trend here right now of Ichinojo defeating people that he had very huge losing records against. Could it be because he was rested up from COVID? Most likely. Could it be that he's just finally finding his own strength? Most likely. Could it be that everyone else got weaker? I would argue no. I think it was just Ichinojo finally coming into his own, and, you know, obviously that one Basho of rest was very beneficial towards him. Coming up against Mitakeumi, he could have a similar style to Takakeisho where he bounces off of you. He also does have decent Yotsuzumo, but not nearly as good as Ichinojo. So if I were to call this match, I would probably be saying Mitakeumi wants to keep Ichinojo away from the belt. Let's see what happens at full speed. Mitakeumi does try to make him bounce, but Ichinojo immediately getting that outside left turns Mitakeumi around. And even though you don't usually see throws from Ichinojo, you know, that throw led into the push. So another quick match, and there shouldn't be too much that I haven't already mentioned going on in this match. Ichinojo, we can't see it from here, but it's very likely that he immediately grabs that left outside. And we can kind of see Mitakeumi, what he's trying to do is come this way around and try to bring his hips around so Ichinojo can't grab the outside left. But I think he does that anyway, because we can kind of see Ichinojo is leaning a little that way. Like, you can see his shoulders are down like this, so his arm has more length, so he can get that grip on the belt. So either instinct or he knew that it was coming. I would probably lean towards instinct because, you know, from here, he is a bit off balance. He is a little bit off balance, but he immediately catches himself. Like, you could see his right foot was all the way back here, snaps it over here. His feet were pointing this direction, snapped to turn around. Snaps his entire body so he can turn and square up against Mitakeumi. And Mitakeumi, I mean, again, he already has Ichinojo's grip on the belt. Inside right is not going to do too much for him, but he is trying to push him off now. Ichinojo still very square against Mitakeumi. And here we actually see it could be Mitakeumi going for an ill-timed push at the same time Ichinojo does go for the throw. Because you're going to see Ichinojo pushes Mitakeumi to the side. Mitakeumi probably tried to push from this bad angle as well. Like, we can see Mitakeumi, he's not exactly square. Like, his shoulders are pointing this way, hips are going a bit that way. Feet are kind of matched up with the hips, and that's what lends Ichinojo to be able to throw Mitakeumi in this direction, because the attack is not all lined up like Ichinojo's attacks have been. So he does turn. He pulls back that right arm, pulling Ichinojo alongside him. And that's something that you learn in all martial arts, is that whenever you make a move, you have to put your entire body into it. He's not just, you know, using his arm to go on Mitakeumi. He's throwing this right shoulder back, and he's putting all that momentum into the throw with that left arm. He's going Hya to Mitakeumi right now, and after Mitakeumi stumbles forward and recatches himself, it's already too late, because Ichinojo is chest to chest once again. Ichinojo, shoulder, hips, feet, all going the same direction. And that is all she wrote for Mitakeumi. Wonder how much longer his knees will hold. That's a good question. It's not like Ichinojo is an old man. If anything, he's 29 years old, so I'd probably say 3 to 4 years before he needs knee braces or has a knee injury, that kind of thing. But, I mean, if he keeps it up the way he has been and he stays healthy, because, to my knowledge, the only major injuries he's had are his back and his elbow. Because I remember a few years ago, he fell directly on his elbow and had to take a few matches off, or a basho off. And then, of course, you know, being that big, you're going to have back problems. So hopefully, you know, after losing a lot of weight, and, you know, he does have a lot of muscle in those legs as well, hopefully they can stabilize his knees and he doesn't have to be like Terunofuji in those knee braces. But, you know, for what he's got right now, he's doing fantastic. And if this Ichinojo shows up for every single tournament from now on, we might have Yokozuna Ichinojo. All right, next up, and probably Ichinojo's most shocking match, against Shodai. Now, hold on, I have a DM right quick. Alrighty, sorry about that. So, coming into this match, Ichinojo versus Shodai, we thought, Ichinojo undefeated right now? There's no way he loses to Shodai. I mean, come on, Shodai 2-4, Shodai 4-12 in the head-to-head against Ichinojo. Ichinojo has 7 wins. No, that's not what happened. Ichinojo actually unable to get a grip on the belt, getting pulled off balance, and then after getting pulled off balance, he got pushed up and out of the ring by Shodai. And this was part of the resurgence of Shodai, and I can probably guarantee you Ichinojo might have taken this match lightly, because it's not like we the spectators are the only people that rag on these sumo wrestlers sometimes. They probably hear it too, and when they hear it, it gets into their head. So I'm not saying Ichinojo thought that this was going to be easy and took it easy. I'm saying that Ichinojo might have inadvertently not expected Shodai to be as good as he was in this match. And, I can't read minds. I'm not going to put words in his mouth. And I am pretty sure he didn't take an interview after this loss either. And if he did, he was probably like, yeah, I just got to keep doing my brand of sumo. You know how it goes. But Ichinojo, Shodai, it was a good match for Shodai. Quote me on it, Molotov. Hold on. Excuse me. But yeah, like I said, Shodai, very smart in this match, doesn't let Ichinojo get that left outside. What Shodai actually does is he puts this right shoulder a little bit more forward, so that creates a little bit more distance between the hip and the shoulder, which means Ichinojo can't immediately grab the belt. We can also see Shodai is blocking with the inside, so Ichinojo can't really do anything to try to get inside. Now, this is the first time that right off the Tachi, Ichinojo gets pulled. Every single time before this, it was just chest to chest, immediately grab the belt. This is the first time straight off the Tachi he gets pulled. Gets pulled hard. And kind of like I said earlier, again in the Hoshoryu match where he put his feet in front of him so he could stop himself sooner, this time it looks more like he stumbles forward after the pull. Like, watch this. He is very far forward here. He is not catching himself. Like I said in the Hoshoryu match, he hopped his feet forward in front of his center of mass to catch himself. Here, his shoulders are up here, hips back here, and he's running. He's trying to run to catch himself. That's already a bad sign. Look at how off, like, this is not where you want to be. No matter who you are, you don't want to be in this position. And then just a great recharge by Shodai. You pull into the push and then pulling away again. Ichinojo probably thought, oh, now he's coming in for the charge. It's going to be chest to chest again. But Shodai pulls away again. And even though he doesn't get a grip on anything, he keeps the hips away, which forces Ichinojo to try to move forward now to catch up. But after he does that, Shodai is the one that pushes forward again. So that was full control by Shodai that entire match. Pull, push, pull, push. Ichinojo could not keep up. He was completely outgamed here. Because, again, Ichinojo probably expected, oh, Shodai, his usual style is to go chest to chest, Yotsuzumo, but right here, Shodai goes chest to chest. Ichinojo thinks, okay, grab the left outside. Oh, he gets pulled. And he's not ready for it. He doesn't have a grip on the belt like he did in previous matches. He's stumbling forward here, and that's kind of already where it's done. Like, he needs a miracle on the edge if he wants to be able to survive from being pulled like that into, a big push from an Ozeki, like from any high-level Rikishi. If this was, Enho doing this to Ichinojo, then okay, Enho is not going to push Ichinojo out. But you still got to be careful because it's going to be a big push and it's going to knock you off balance. Ichinojo just completely unprepared for the push-pull, push-pull. And he takes his first loss of the tournament. Honestly, like, if I were Ichinojo, I probably would have been baffled. Like, what the hell was I just doing? Like, what just happened? So, I mean, there might be a Rikishi Speakshy on it, actually. If I can go back in the sumo news and check that. Let's see. This was day 7, yeah. Let's see. Shodai explained. It doesn't look like Ichinojo had an interview. Here we have Hoshoryu getting his free win. Yeah, it was just a Shodai interview that day. Ichinojo I don't know if he wasn't interviewed or if he just we didn't post that interview, but it was still very notable. Going into day 8 now. It's like, okay. Going up against rival Kotonowaka. Kotonowaka, a very strong Rikishi in his own right. Oh, we actually went a bit too far back now. Kotonowaka, very young, very powerful, very much coming into his own in this tournament. Like 5-2 after going through, you know, the gauntlet. Both Maegashira 2 outstanding this tournament, and I am still very sad that Kotonowaka had to dip. But that's not really the point. Right here, head-to-head, 3-1 in favor of Kotonowaka. And we can kind of see it here, too. Same stature, roughly the same height. Ichinojo obviously heavier, but we can actually compare and contrast these stats now, can't we? Let's see. Kotonowaka, 188 centimeters, 166 kilograms. Ichinojo, 190 centimeters, 183 kilograms. So very, very similar in size. I mean, 15 kilos is a lot, but very similar in stature, very similar in style. And Kotonowaka, I mean, he's definitely not someone to sneeze at. He was doing just as well as Ichinojo was in this tournament. And, you know, if Kotonowaka had more matches, I would probably want to cover his tournament as well. But unfortunately, that is not how things went down. So, full speed, Ichinojo versus Kotonowaka. Ichinojo tries to go for the slap at first, and then tries to switch the grip to the inside left, and finds himself at the edge after trying that move. Getting turned around by Kotonowaka. So we can watch his full speed again. And, you know, we saw earlier in the tournament Ichinojo slapping to the head worked out. This time around, it doesn't. Because now he has someone roughly his same height going chest to chest with him. And I'm pretty sure Kotonowaka also went for a slap to the face on the same side. Either that or he was just trying to deflect what he thought might have been a thrusting attack. But yeah, they both go high here. Ichinojo goes for that very fast slap to the face, but Kotonowaka completely undeterred by it. And now from here, Kotonowaka gets inside right, outside left. Ichinojo can't get the outside left on the belt. He does have the inside right. You can see that right over here. But now Kotonowaka, he keeps his right foot back just a little bit, keeps that right hip back, although his shoulders are a little skewed. His shoulders are facing like this, whereas his hips and his feet are kind of facing this direction, whereas his shoulders are facing Ichinojo head on, and that's because Kotonowaka is about to pull. He actually, when Ichinojo goes for the switch to the grip, Kotonowaka comes around the other way. He doesn't keep trying to go this way, you know, pull his hips away from Ichinojo. He actually attacks the side that Ichinojo is trying to switch on. So it's like a double switch back and forth. And you know, that is something I do want to go back and see real quick, which, again, we can only jump back by like 10-second increments. What's up, Rube? How you doing? Well, like right here, you would think, oh, Kotonowaka is probably going to try to keep pulling this way. But that's the exact opposite of what he does. Because when Ichinojo tries to switch the grip, and we get a lot of pixels right there, he actually shuffles back towards the right and keeps going this way. And Ichinojo did not expect it at all. Like, as soon as Ichinojo pulled that hand up and inside, Kotonowaka pulls his own hand up and is trying to go inside to exchange those inside grips. And now, because Kotonowaka has the outside right, he's going to pull this way because he's also going to have that inside left pulling this way. This is more of a Kotonowaka breakdown now, isn't it? Ichinojo, though, didn't really see that coming at all. So now he's the one getting dragged. And just like in the last match, you know, he's the one getting pulled. His feet are not like far enough ahead where he can catch himself. His feet are underneath his hips. His shoulders are way over here. His center of gravity is somewhere like, you know, right above this dot, like doot, 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 doot. You know what I'm talking about? So his center of gravity is not above his feet, basically. and he is getting pulled, and you know, it's a classic pull into a push, keep them off balance, pushing and pulling of the waves going back and forth, because that is the flow of the battle. And if you're not ready, then the waves will destroy you. You know, water bending, that kind of thing. But it was a very simple move. Kotonowaka going for the pull, spin around into the push. Because Ichinojo is expecting to continually be pulled, so he's leaning his body forward for it, but now he's getting pushed back up, and then it blows up in his face. What's up, JTV? Yeah, no, I've been doing this for months, Rube. Where have you been? It's also been on my YouTube channel. Which, if you're watching on YouTube, thank you very much. I hope you are enjoying the content. And if you are not watching on YouTube, then thank you for joining my Twitch stream. I appreciate it. Next match is against Maegashita 1 Kiribayama, who, I want to say Kiribayama struggled this tournament, even though he finished with, you know, an 8-7, but it was still like, he could have had a much better scoreline. Here we go, Kiribayama and Ichinojo. So Ichinojo, losing 2 matches in a row, is now going up against another smaller guy, Yotsuzumo guy. We're gonna expect something like Wakataka or Hoshoryu right here. Definitely not something like Kotonowaka or Shodai, who are big Yotsu guys. Been busy doing shit? Nah, you're good. I'm just taking the piss. Well, let's see. Ichinojo and Kiribayama at full speed. Ichinojo a little slow to the Tachi-ai, but he does get the inside right like he had against Terunofuji. And now it is kind of awkward for Ichinojo, pulling Kiribayama back with that left out around the arm, but then he pushes forward, keeping himself square and centered, and pushing through Kiribayama, who is just too small and can't handle that kind of weight and pressure. So what happens here is Ichinojo once again dives underneath with the hand like to the belly, trying to get the grip on the belt underneath like that. And you can see that right down here. He's going straight for the belt. Kiribayama has a block for this outside left too. Now it looks like Ichinojo is going for an inside left here in the same way that he's getting the inside right. Oh, that's the wrong color. But you know what I mean. Excuse me. So I think it's unusual that Ichinojo was trying to go for an inside left when his favored grip is obviously, or rather, the grip he's been going for more often is the outside left. So I would have expected like this arm to come over and around and not in and then try to work its way out. Because immediately Kiribayama wiggles his hip back to try to avoid that grip from Ichinojo, and he does. And he actually has to have Ichinojo fight up high with that left hand, while Kiribayama, now he's the one diving down for the belt, or maybe just another thrust to deflect that left outside arm. But we can still see Ichinojo fighting for that inside right arm. Kiribayama trying to use his shoulders and his biceps to try to block it. Like, you can kind of see up here, he's using his shoulders, well, it could be going either way. Is he, you know, attacking with his face, or is Ichinojo the one pushing at his shoulders to try to stand him upright? But Kiribayama, we could see just trying to use those shoulders and those biceps to keep Ichinojo at bay. Ichinojo is actually the one kind of, not, well, I mean, he's definitely facing all in the same direction, but it's not at his opponent. It's all like this way, whereas Kiribayama is a little more that way. So a little not square against his opponent, but he is square, and that does allow him to, you know, recenter himself here and shuffle his way towards being in front of Kiribayama. But at this point, Kiribayama still fighting on this inside right is Ichinojo, trying to get to that belt. Kiribayama already knows that he can't let Ichinojo get his outside left, so he's blocking it and holding on to that elbow, holding on to that bicep of Ichinojo, which pretty soon you'll see that Ichinojo has to opt for this, as Kiribayama really digs in this right hand all the way to the back of the belt. And when you do that, and especially when you dig in your right hand all the way back there, you dig in your shoulder to their armpit. So now Kiribayama's shoulder is up in the armpit, and you can't really get around that if you're Ichinojo. So the only thing you can opt to do is grab around the bicep like this and try to use that as leverage. So what he's doing next, Kiribayama just trying to push forward, trying to get something with this grip. And we can still see Ichinojo fighting for that right inside because he knows he cannot give that up. So his arm is like kind of, like you can kind of see it going down like this, but it's cutting across the body like this. So you can try to keep that inside, because if he gives up that double outside, then he's just going to get lifted up like this. But that can't happen. He doesn't want that to happen. He's trying to actually wrench Kiribayama's arm out so he can get the inside grip, but we can't really see how this fight is going because Ichinojo's body is just in the way. But Ichinojo, using this left arm, is actually trying to go for the throw here. So using this left arm and using the fact that Kiribayama wants to, you know, keep Ichinojo away from the inside, pulls Kiribayama and tries to go for the throw as he's taking the step back. You can see swinging the hips, swinging the shoulders, swinging the feet around. All of this is going into one motion to try to throw Kiribayama around. And if he can get Kiribayama off balance enough, then he can regain that right inside grip. So now we're getting a better picture here. That right arm from Kiribayama still stuck up inside the armpit of Ichinojo. But right here, Ichinojo, again, just overpowering Kiribayama. He doesn't even need the grip on the belt. He is just square, 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 pushing, pushing, pushing. And Kiribayama, I mean, his head is buried in the shoulder. He just can't do anything about it. He is getting pushed back. Kiribayama even trying to go for the throw here with that inside right on the belt. Ichinojo is just too big and just walking forward. And because of it, Ichinojo gets the win. Getting the train back on track. 7-2 after just another solid Yotsuzumo win. You know how it goes. It's there isn't really too much to say because Yotsuzumo is not as dynamic visually. There's just a lot of little things going on, like the grip on the belt, the way you push forward, the way you stance up your shoulders and things like that. It's all little things that just have those little optimizations. So now day 10, we get into Ichinojo versus Tamawashi, who has a very good head-to-head between them. It's actually, coming into this match, it was 10-9 in favor of Ichinojo. Tamawashi, though, was already struggling this tournament. Oops, a little too far forward. And then, of course, he dropped due to COVID absence. Let's see, that's Kiribayama. That's Hoshoryu. Here we go, Ichinojo and Tamawashi. See the battle of these two Mongolian titans. Alrighty. But Ichinojo and Tamawashi, and we do have the good news if you haven't heard it already. Tamawashi, despite the fact that he has that COVID absence, his consecutive match streak will be kept alive because, and I quote, it was not any fault, the Kyujo was not any fault of his own. Right, pressure contact or something that green lights the train to go forward, square. No, I know what you're talking about, and there kind of is like a feeling that you get when you know now is the time. It's hard to describe because, you know, I haven't felt that way in a long, long time. But, you know, when you know the time to attack is now, and when you know, like, the time to win is now, it's a complicated but good feeling. Tamawashi and Ichinojo. Tamawashi getting caught immediately, trying to pull Ichinojo, but Ichinojo is wise to it this time and just stays forward, nearly falls out first, but gets the Yorikiri against Tamawashi. So, again, not a very impressive match here, but you can't say Tamawashi is a weak opponent. Ichinojo catching Tamawashi, but Tamawashi swings those hips to his left side to keep away from that left outside from Ichinojo. And it does kind of work because Tamawashi is pulling away and trying to pull at that arm of Ichinojo, but Ichinojo is wise to it this time. Ichinojo has been pulled a couple of times this tournament already, and he's not letting it happen again. So now Ichinojo is just, the entire way through, it feels bad to not do all the John Madden drawing, but there really isn't much else to say here because he's just shoulder square, hip square, feet square. He's letting Tamawashi pull, but he's staying centered, and he's like, okay, you pull, you pull, you pull, you pull, you pull. You have nowhere else to go. He just lets Tamawashi pull until there's nowhere else to go, and then Tamawashi trying for theatrics at the edge. Again, Ichinojo doesn't have his feet underneath him. Like, his center of mass is all the way over here. Like, if you do the dotted line, it's like maybe right here in the shadow of the dohyo. Feet all the way back here. They should be over that dotted line, or at least a little bit behind it so he can lean forward, because this is where something scary can happen, where Tamawashi keeps his tippy toes on the Tawada and Ichinojo just falls forward. But other than that, that's like the only real problem in this match. Ichinojo otherwise fought pretty standard. It was a standard Yotsuzumo match. Not too many times, Spanner. Not too many times, to my knowledge. A scary opponent. Can't be his age in Division 1 without deep knowledge. Oh, yeah. I mean, what? He's 36, 37, and he's still fighting the big boys and beating them, too. Like, yeah, he's 37 years old. Dude knows something. He's got the elixir of life in his basement or something. But yeah, just standard Yotsuzumo match from Ichinojo. Coming into the 11th match is going to be up against Komusubi Abi, who he already had a favorable head-to-head record against. Oh, nice. Alrighty, so Abi, same story as Daieisho. Don't let him get his usual long arm of the law pusher thrusters at you. Just let him, just try to catch him. So I forgot that we want to watch these at full speed first.
I think that's possible, especially with his style. There we go. Already getting
Ichinojo versus Abi. Abi getting caught by Ichinojo, and Ichinojo going on the pull. Abi tries to survive on the edge, but Ichinojo follows up with another good push right to the butt. And not a standard match, but again, not really too much to break down here because not a lot happens. We have Yotsuzumo matches where they're just like playing handsies with each other, but we're spending 10 minutes on it because it's like, oh, look at the way he moves his arm like this, and look at the way he moves his arm like that, and he's now trying to grab the belt, but he can't, so he's twisting his arm this way to do this and that and the other thing. And then this one with all this spectacle back and forth is just, yeah, Abi charged forward, Ichinojo deflected him. He just said, boop. It's like, yeah, Abi goes high, Ichinojo, you can already see, catches the elbow. You see it right here, and you can see it over here. He just catches Abi by the arms, and when Abi tries to recreate separation, Ichinojo obliges and just tosses him this way, because where else is Abi gonna go? Pulls him by the arm, and you can see that was a good hop backwards by Ichinojo too. He hops and kept his footing, again, underneath that center of gravity, keeping himself in a good position. So when, he's already on the follow-up too. He's charging forward before Abi even makes it to the Tawada. So he goes for that pull, and then he's immediately, look at him. Look at these eyes. Immediately at the back of his enemy. He's gonna kill him. Abi trying to turn around, but Ichinojo already got the big hand to the chest, and then pushes him out by the butt. So, a fast win by Ichinojo. A solid win by Ichinojo, and now that I see it again, I am kind of impressed at the fact that because other sumo wrestlers, after a pull, they might not realize like, oh shit, I gotta follow up. Ichinojo was already like he's going after it. He walked right after the pull, The pull didn't even finish and he was already back on the push. Just good follow-up from Ichinojo right there, and that's why he gets that win. If he doesn't follow up as quickly as he did, Abi survives and they're still fighting. Good follow-up from Abi. Now, day 12, like I said earlier when we started, he fights Tobizaru, who, you have to remember, at the time was still in the yusho race. 8-3 for the Flying Monkey. Oops, I didn't want to start the match that early. Another thing to mention again is the fact that Tobizaru has a winning record against Ichinojo. He was 4-2 coming into today. So, again, of all of the matches Ichinojo fought, you can't say any of them were weak, except for the absence, but we can't really control that because it was COVID, yada yada, blah blah blah. But don't let anyone tell you, and I'm glad I haven't seen it myself, but if anyone out there is saying that Ichinojo had an easy schedule because of this reason or that reason, like, that is not at all the case. He had one of the hardest schedules out of anybody else in, you know, the top of the tippy top division. And then even when he was given his easiest match, which we will see after this against Meisei, he loses that one. So Ichinojo versus Tobizaru. Tobizaru usually a lot weaker than what we saw at this tournament. And I'd love to get into him, but he also had COVID absence and had to dip out of the tournament. So he didn't actually get to finish the tournament, which is very unfortunate. All late wins become more impressive considering yusho pressure. Yeah, that too. Like, knowing that you're in the lead for the yusho race, that has made other men crumble. Aoyama can be quoted May of 2020. When he knew that he was in the lead of the race, he could not handle it mentally and just started losing after that. Takayasu, he's choked twice now. Takayasu has choked it completely. 2-win lead over the rest of the pack. Gone. Ichinojo, he knows he's in first place. He knows he's in the lead for the yusho race. He knows he has to win. And that's why you got to keep showing up, doing your job day in and day out, as if nothing is different. But it's not that easy. Ichinojo just getting the better push. Tobizaru trying to stay at an arm's length as he tries to find an in, but Ichinojo just keeps tossing him away, trying to get a grip anywhere, but Tobizaru not really letting it happen, and Ichinojo isn't letting Tobizaru get a grip either, until finally he tries to dive in for the inside right, not letting himself get pulled, and Tobizaru runs out of room on his own pulling attack. So, Tobizaru matches, there's a reason why he's my favorite. They're always interesting. And this was Oshizumo from Ichinojo, because there was really no other option. He can't dive for Tobizaru's belt. Tobizaru is much more quick and agile than he is. So Ichinojo has to fight at Tobizaru's pace. And that's what Tobizaru kind of excels at, is he gets the other person to fight at his own pace. So right here from the Tachi-ai, they both go high. Like, you can actually see they're high-fiving right here, right off the Tachi-ai. And after they get that high five, Ichinojo pushing him away. You could probably say that Tobizaru hopped away at the same time as Ichinojo pushed him away, because you know Ichinojo doesn't want him, or rather Tobizaru does not want Ichinojo to grab the belt. Tobizaru absolutely knows that. So Tobizaru is trying to stay away and is trying to, shuffle away along the outer rim and try to, just find an in against Ichinojo. Probably find an easy way to get double inside and lift Ichinojo up like that. It's not that easy. It's never going to be that easy. Ichinojo, the entire way, just, look at those eyes. Staring directly into Tobizaru's shoulders, hips, feet, all pointed at Tobizaru. He is ready for anything Tobizaru is about to throw at him. Tobizaru getting the charge in. Ichinojo blocks it and tries to get a grip, like right here, you can see, he tries to get a grip on this forearm so maybe he can exert a little bit of control. Tobizaru pulls back, slapping at the arms, and he's slapping at the arms so he can try to get Ichinojo to do something about it. He's slapping at the defense because when he breaks the defense, that's when he can charge in. Tobizaru trying to find the in, like I just said in the live commentary, but Ichinojo consistently just blocking him, patting him away, just pushing him away, pushing him out. And it is also those hands to the throat that keep Tobizaru away from being able to really do anything. And even when we see Tobizaru here trying to dive deep, hand on the forearm to keep Ichinojo just a bit away from the belt. Like, that hand is not on the belt. So even while he's trying to attack, he needs to play it very carefully, and he needs to play it in a way that when he attacks, Ichinojo can't. And so after this, Tobizaru trying to find hands, staying at that arm's length, Ichinojo getting hands to the neck, which Tobizaru is okay with because they're not hands on the belt. Hands on the belt is death. Hands on the neck, you can deal with that. Tobizaru, you can see, still kind of batting at the forearms over here. And again, Ichinojo going for the attack here. That's Tobizaru's in to try to get to the belt here. But you can already see part of Ichinojo's attack going high and outside was getting low and inside with the left at the same time. That way, Tobizaru couldn't go for that all-in double inside attack. Ichinojo playing the offense and the defense really well right here. And even when he almost got that hand inside, you could see it. It was slipping between Tobizaru's arm and chest. Tobizaru pulls back away again. And this is the point where even though Tobizaru, you could say, has favorable position, he doesn't have enough room on the dohyo. He doesn't have enough room behind him. So even though Tobizaru was pretty wise in his attack, he just couldn't find the in. And now Ichinojo, just following up on Tobizaru's attack, just gets the forearm and gives him a slap on the belly for good measure. So this was definitely an interesting match, not an exciting match, an interesting match. And it wasn't very centered on Ichinojo being proactive because that relied on Tobizaru to be the one making the moves. Again, like I said, Tobizaru is very good at making his opponent fall into his own rhythm and fall into his own, way of doing things inside the dohyo. And this was a good example of it. This was more Tobizaru losing than it was Ichinojo winning, but you could also argue Ichinojo playing it slowly, playing it safely against the, tricky Tobizaru. That is indeed, more him winning. But like I said, much earlier, there's a difference between someone winning and his opponent losing. Because if you do a mistake, that's not really the someone winning. But if you play it perfectly and force your opponent to make a mistake, that is you winning and making them lose. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm trying to say here? Like there's a difference between your opponent slipping and falling and you forcing him out, That's the long short of what I'm trying to say here. And this match was more Tobizaru losing than it was Ichinojo winning, because Ichinojo just kind of weathered the storm and Tobizaru just couldn't do anything. Still a good win. Day 13, we are skipping because that was the Fusensho victory against Nishikigi, which, again, one could argue would have been his easiest match of the Basho, but even then, Nishikigi was still just outside of the yusho race with an 8-4 scoreline on that day. But, of course, going Fusensho 8-5 and then 2 absences. So, free win for Ichinojo. And then, even after that, Ichinojo coming into day 14 against Meisei. Kiribayama. Ichinojo versus Meisei. Now, this was a match where we definitely did not expect these results, although, again, looking at history and looking at the fact that Meisei did used to be up in the Sanyaku, it could go either way. Now, it was a 6-4 in the head-to-head in favor of Meisei coming into this match. But, oh my god, Ichinojo's on fire. Meisei, something has been wrong with him because, you know, he was doing good in Sekiwake and then he fell like a brick. We don't know. Did he slip on accident or did their opponent's fiery sumo spirit cause their foot to slip? You got me there. Excuse me, talking so much makes me thirsty. Drink water, chat. Remember, drink water. Anyway, coming into this match against Meisei, well, you would not be at fault if you were to go all in on Ichinojo here. He has just been looking absolutely fantastic all tournament. Meisei, not so much. And even in recent history, Meisei, not so much. So, you know, you may be a victim of recency bias because it's what I say in sumo all the time. Anything can happen on any given day. And this was any given day. Ichinojo going high, immediately getting the outside left, but Meisei just getting the better push chest to chest, which after seeing the overwhelming strength Ichinojo has possessed this tournament was crazy. Whiskey is a type of water, I guess. But right off the Tachi here, you can see again, Ichinojo gets his favored outside left. He has a fine stance. Meisei inside right immediately on the belt. But what happens here, and it was very quick, you might not have seen it. Very quick, right here, right after they separate, just watch between them. Let's see, E. Gets the grips on the belt. And then right here, you can see Meisei blocking the inside for Ichinojo. Meisei throws down his shoulder and his arm to block Ichinojo from being able to get inside right priority. So with that, Ichinojo panics. Now that he can't get the inside right, he's given up double inside to Meisei. And we can still see Meisei's hand going for that belt. So now Ichinojo with double outside. He's getting pulled by Meisei. This is a bad position for Ichinojo. Meisei pulling back. You can see he's pulling his hips back, and now his foot is going to be going afterwards. Ichinojo, all that momentum is getting pulled this way. So what he tries to do to prevent that is he lets go of the belt, which is a very dangerous no-no that you don't want to do. And in the middle of that pull, Meisei stops. And this right here, he just plants the foot, stops the pull, and we saw like an additional, 10, 15 frames of Ichinojo still moving forward, and Meisei, during all that time, used that to power up and push forward, because now he's the one square. We can't really see his stance through the giant Ichinojo, but now he's the one pushing up, and pushing up into Ichinojo, using that half a second to get all that momentum going forward. Ichinojo trying to switch the grip to the inside left so he has a chance at Yotsuzumo, but at this point it's already too late. Meisei is on the push. Ichinojo is being lifted up off the ground, and Ichinojo just being completely pushed backwards. A very quick match, but very expertly done by Meisei. Incredible stuff from Meisei here, as quick as it possibly could have been, and it was all because of that one left arm coming in on that defense. Watch it at full speed again. You don't even see it. You don't even see it.
Ichinojo with a slap to the face before grabbing the belt, switching the grip. Meisei gets the push out.
He knew exactly how to counter Ichinojo right from the Tachi. He pulls back, plants the foot, charges forward, and gets the Yorikiri against the frontrunner Ichinojo. Luckily for Ichinojo, everybody else in the title race lost. Like, how often does that happen? So coming into day 15, he needs to win, and Terunofuji needs to lose. So coming into... Oh, wait, no, this is the award ceremony. A little too far. So coming into this last day, he is going up against Maigashita 3 Uda, who needs the win to have Akachi Koshi. Very important match here, and the thing you need to remember is the fact that Uda, very tricky, very unusual style. We know him, we love him. He does like the Yotsuzumo, but he puts his shoulders like very far in front of his body and his hips all the way back away from his body. And he tries to push forward like a battering ram straight into your chest. Ichinojo, let's see what he tries to do against this. That's basically all I gotta say.
Ichinojo and Uda. Uda is already down.
Ichinojo goes for the slap to the face, immediately grabs the left outside, which is what Uda did not want to have happen, but Uda trying to get lower and lower. Ichinojo squatting down as low as he can go, propping Uda up, belly to belly, yorikiri. And like I said, right off the Tachi, I would have expected a little bit more from Uda in this match.
Uda is already down.
But immediately slap to the head of Uda and then getting the grip on the belt. Right there. Oops, wrong color. Because Ichinojo is blue. Right there. Hand on the belt immediately. And that lets Ichinojo exert a lot of control. Not full control, but a lot of control over Ichinojo. Uda can't keep his hands on the belt. We can see it right back here. Thank you so much for the subscription, Safari Guy. You won the monthly Mahjong tournament. Very nice. Glad to hear it. I'll be playing Mahjong on Mondays. So for those of you in YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube, I play Mahjong on Mondays on twitch.tv/LeoDixonVT. And for those of you on Twitch, you already knew that. Anyway, Ichinojo has this grip on the belt. Uda loses his grip on the belt, but Uda is doing, like I said, he's leaning far forward and he's trying, you're going to see it soon, he's trying to pull Ichinojo lower and lower so he can eventually pull back. And that's a really shitty arrow that I just drew. But as they push back into the middle of the ring, you can see regains the grip of the belt, and Uda is going to start leaning lower and lower because he likes to go for the pull afterwards. Now, the problem here is the fact that Ichinojo has a grip on the belt, so he can't, he can't pull this way. He would have to pull this way and try to use this arm to get a throw. We don't know exactly what's going on this inside. Like, we don't know if Ichinojo has the inside right or not, and that would really tell the story, because if Ichinojo has that inside right, then that means Uda really can't do anything. But what we just saw, you might not have seen it, but Ichinojo's hand popped up out here. So that means he probably does have the inside right, but he doesn't have it on the belt just yet. Either that or he is using it to grip the belt. You can kind of see it flitting over here, and now we get a good view of it. It's not on the belt, but it doesn't need to be on the belt because it's underneath the armpit and it is propping up Uda. So Uda, who was trying to go low, is now being pulled upwards. And Ichinojo, who was just squatting, like his butt was all the way down here, is now pushing upwards. And he is propping Uda up. And from here, it's as simple as trying to shuffle those feet forward and trying to shuffle forward and keeping your body square so you can push and push and push and get that yorikiri win. And that is exactly what happens for the rest of it. Doing tiny little bunny hops forward, getting the throwdown. 12 wins in this tournament for Ichinojo, which isn't even the most he's had in a single tournament. Remember, at the very beginning of the night, we said that he had 14 wins and didn't win that yusho because guess who? It was Hakuho to win with a Zensho. But Ichinojo, fantastic basho for him. Again, even if you discount the one Nishikigi Fusensho, he still would have been in the playoff for first with an 11-4 if he would have lost to Nishikigi, which, fat chance of that happening. But you get the idea. Ichinojo, fought his heart out this tournament. He deserved every single win he got. He deserved every bit of recognition he gets after this tournament. He deserves everything good that happens to him. He deserves that trophy. He deserves that giant macaron. He deserves that fish. He deserves this cheesy post-trophy interview. He deserves all of that. And he did fantastic this tournament. What a match to end on. And that is going to be it from me if you're watching on the YouTube side. Thank you again for watching. I stream Sumo Saturdays every Saturday on my Twitch channel. And if you can't catch it live on Twitch, I will be reposting the VODs on Mondays. Also, look forward to on Wednesday, I will be doing an update on the young guns in the lower divisions, on our rising stars in those lower 4 divisions. Check out who's rising and who is falling among these stars to look forward to in the future on Wednesday. But on the YouTube side, thank you very much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, subscribe if you thought, if you really liked this kind of, in-depth analysis. You can be sure to look forward to more of that when I start doing live commentary on the YouTube side. Although I have no idea if the new official Sumo Association YouTube channel is going to shut us down or not, so that might be something interesting to look forward to. Speaking of which, if you haven't heard about it yet, there is an official Sumo YouTube channel that's going to be starting off. We don't know if it's going to include live commentary or not, because the guy behind it, Hiro, working for NHK, he still works for NHK. He's just a freelancer now. So we don't know if they're going to be doing live commentary. We don't know if they're only going to be doing behind the scenes or it's just a sumo specific show, but that is something to look forward to, and I would look into that. Excuse me. I would look into that if I were you. No, Tochinoshin didn't fight tonight. But yes, on the YouTube side, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this content. Look forward to next week when we will be covering Terunofuji, because he got the Jun yusho, and I like to cover the guys who got the Jun yusho as well, because generally they have the second most wins, and maybe even Takakeisho the week after that. So thanks again.